The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It's been so long since we have been on air. I actually don't know what I used to say when we start the program.
Well, what I know is that it's a couple minutes after 6 p.m. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the True Nation Station, WACK, where we are.
Culture crazy. It feels real weird saying it the other way around.
It does feel weird, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. Good after God.
On that note, we had to kick off the program the way that we always do.
All right, we must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we are not just talking about our brother in music, Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
penitence. I don't know. I think I believe we're in Lent. A lot of people after the last month's festivities in a state of repentance and fasting and withdrawal and recovery, etc. So
I thought you said penitence like the street in San Fernando that somebody bands cut down when they had to turn off the music trucks instead of passing by the hospital.
Well, which is cool, but what you thought penitence is? Just throwing it out there. Food for thought.
But also to the ancestors, to all those who have went before us, the Tainos and the Carnivals, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and say it with the chest, that Columbus lied. Mm-hmm. But we already said thank you to Tony P.
Aaron, before we really get into the nitty-gritty and the catch-up, I just want to extend both my congratulations to your football side for knocking my football side out of the Champions League over two very keenly contested legs the other day. On that note, I would also like to offer my sincerest condolences for that massacre that occurred over the weekend. I know it's mixed emotions, you probably have based on the performance of your team, but I just want you to know that I will always be here to remind you of how the mighty have fallen. I mean, to support you in your relationship with your football team.
As we are talking relationships with sporting teams, I must say that I have a lot of toxic relationships in my life.
Oh, go on.
One of the most toxic relationships I have is my relationship with West Indies cricket. To claw ourselves back from being on the receiving end of 200 and some odd runs for one wicket on the first day, to end the day at 314 for 8, to be skittled out in 2 sessions for 200 and some odd runs, then dismantle a batting attack in a session and a half, to then be skedaddled in totality of a session for a test match to be done in the 3rd day. It's just terrible.
I wake up to say, right, let me watch us pull it back, because when you message today to remind me that cricket going on, and I put on the channel and I realized there's about 4 wickets fall in the course of the afternoon, I say, well, we have something still.
7 fell that afternoon.
Yeah, but I catch the last 4 now. So I actually watched even as we were attacking the tail and looking to wrap up the evening. So I said, well, right, I could watch some cricket because it looked like our bowling saying something, not realizing that we were going to capitulate in one of the worst ways possible when we actually managed to put ourselves in a position to take the test. Anyway, it is about you and your toxic relationships. I ain't going through that.
That's one toxic relationship. The second toxic relationship I have is with Manchester United Football Club. just when we thought we were turning the corner, and I must admit, since our last 4-0 humbling at Brentford, followed by the 6-3 humbling to our noisy neighbours, the Manchester City Football Club, we did turn a corner. We were looking on the up. We played some good football. We beat some good teams. And we won our first trophy in 7 years. So only yesterday, yesterday on Sunday afternoon, to be humbled, humiliated, we were whipping on the floor.
Whipping on
the floor. We got 7 from Liverpool. But you know what? I accept that humbling. Because I rather we get that humbling now.
All right, than when it's more costly.
Than when it's more costly. We move on Thursday. We play Real Betis in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, not the premier European competition that you would want to be in, but it's the one in. You beat what's in front of you. Something West Indies continues to fail to do. With that being said, I do hear the plight of the cricketers where they speak that they don't play enough test cricket. That test cricket is the truest form of the game, and I do support that. Because you can't have England and Australia and India. I find them playing tests like every 2 months. Them have some series going on. But West Indies might have 2 series for the year.
All right.
So we really do, the ICC or whoever is responsible for structuring the calendar needs to do better to give the lower ranked test playing nations more opportunities to gain points and play in the World Test Cricket Championship final or whatever the name of that stupid tournament is.
I want to say the stupid tournament. My issue is that during the pandemic lockdowns internationally, the West Indies cricket team was one of the teams that was still showing up for Test cricket. Right, we were still playing during the lockdown. So to be playing less cricket when more teams are available, to me, that is something like maths. That when teams were pulling out our tours and competitions, we were putting in the effort.
To quote one Roderick Chuck Gordon in his 2023 pen calypso, the Maths Not Matson.
Correct is right.
But you know what other Maths Not Matson?
Where from him?
I do not understand how persons who live San Fernando, are born and bred in San Fernando, leave San Fernando to go play mass in Port of Spain, but then in turn talk about mass in San Fernando is dying. They are given substandard products because they talk about how the mass in San Fernando that's produced, the costumes are a lot better. They are given substandard service and food that, say it's chicken, but the size of the food, the wing looks like a pigeon drumstick.
There were even allegedly there were people who didn't get food, and some of the people who got food,
food poisoning.
There were cases that there were food poisoning, that type of thing.
So I implore our citizenry of San Fernando, for 2024, let's bring mass home. If you are from San Fernando and environs, or even southern Trinidad, let's bring mass home next year. Let's play mass in San Fernando for 2024. That is my plea.
You know how the vested interest I had in San Fernando mass for a very long time as well. And now I'm going to take the opportunities where possible to explore other elements of the San Fernando mass and to do as much as I can to push some of these organizations and associations forward, because it was disheartening to hear reports of Sando mass and to realize that there's a skeleton of the skeleton. Right? But we have the crowds coming out for Juve, even in South, because there's not even just a San Fernando thing. We're talking about the other districts have some epic celebrations over this carnival. So the question we really do have to ask ourselves is, where are we dropping the ball? What are the challenges that we have to overcome? Right? I know people may have had crime concerns, there are economic concerns, and then there were health concerns that people had with Carnival. However, that does not excuse the organizers from a show in where, I mean, come on, what kind of encouragement you have when you canceling entire king and queen competitions, right? Anyway, we'll get some insight to that with our guests later.
Yeah, because not just that, and I just want to talk about the cancelling of the Kings and Queens competition. This is why I continue to implore corporate Trinidad and Tobago. If you invest in the culture of our country, you are liable for 150% to 300% return when you file your corporate taxes at the end of the year. Well, that's if you even filing corp tax returns, but that's a whole other conversation right there. But really and truly, guys, for corporate Trinidad and Tobago, get involved in the culture. It's not only beneficial for your brand, it's also beneficial for your accounts.
Nice one.
Right. With that being said, this week is International Women's Week, and the Southwest Regional Health Authority, that's SWARA, is doing their part to celebrate as well as offer opportunities for testing. They're offering opportunities for pap smears, breast cancer education, HPV education and vaccination, and other screening and counseling like blood sugar, blood pressure, and HIV. Right? So I can't say for Monday they were in Point, and today, Tuesday, they were in Couva. But tomorrow, you can head across to Cardo's hometown, that's Marabella, at the Marabella Health Center. On the 9th, they'll be at the Indian Walk Health Center. And on the 10th, that's Friday, they are going to be at the Saparia Health Facility, right? And remember, it is International Women's Week, and it culminates on the 11th and 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in San Fernando.
Excellent stuff, man.
So you could carry the woman in your life out, right? Your mom, aunts, girlfriend, wife, whoever it may be.
Committed interest, etc. Because, I mean, we're moving past situationships, right? We're moving past that. You might not be a girlfriend yet, right? But it's not just a situationship either. Let me move with some intention. Let me refer to the committed interest that young men might have in the young women, or even the more mature men and mature women might have in their lives. Let me call them committed interest until we take it somewhere else. So that way, afterwards, you don't have to hear the rab about, well, we was never together. No, but there was a committed interest. See what I did there.
Also, before we get ready to bring our guest in, I must say a pleasant good afternoon to the lady who I met in Clifton Hill on Saturday. Right? I went down there on a date on Saturday, and right? And when walking into the establishment, elderly lady, she was looking at me, and her eyes made 4. Well, the eyes made 6 because she had on glasses.
Wow.
And yeah. First time I ever tried that one, it didn't work out well. I never used that again.
No, you could go ahead, you could go ahead with a little more use settle on.
Right? And while sitting at the bar, she came up to me and she showed me her phone. She's like, "This is you?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." She was like, "Don't worry, when people pay to watch you on the internet, they just remember your face."
All right.
So to all those who would have tuned into the pay-per-view streams that WAC would have offered over the carnival, and would have paid to see my lovely face, and by extension, Vanessa, Kenny, Mr. Skerritt, Mr. LePere, and all of the other presenters who joined us. Thank you very much for taking pride in your culture and purchasing and locking on. Oh, shucks, Caption was one of the hosts too, and Tigress, can't forget Tigress. Right? So thank you all for your continued support as we continue to do our work within our control to keep our culture alive and to keep bringing the culture to you who are at home.
Oh, you know what, Aaron? I am very, very proud of you. I'm very proud of the team. I'm very proud of the people who has done work that is not going to be mentioned, because it's not everybody in a position where you could follow up a couple of weeks afterwards and say, "Hey, I see you and I appreciate you." And I want to just very quickly hang my hat to the many nameless masqueraders that we saw in terms of the midnight robbers and the jabs and the moko jumbies, etc., who were part and parcel of events and decor, active decor even, where people were stopping to take pictures with them, or they were creating an ambience for the nameless members of the rhythm sections and the chutney performers. Well, they're not nameless, but the tassa drummers, that type of thing, right? I want to acknowledge you.
I can add to your list?
Sure.
I want to acknowledge all the cameramen, the camera women, the photographers, all of those who helped capture and encapsulate what took place. And I'm going to call some names here. Rock, Kerry, Ras, and Kenny. I have seen the dedication and hard work that those 4 gentlemen put in. And from the masquerade, they were straight down to San Fernando Juve celebrations. I don't even think they sleep.
Yeah. I mean, it was the event, it was the opportunity. We are advocates for balanced lifestyles, including rest. Let's turn it out there.
Yeah, Phil always be real talking to me about that resting, but
I good. All I'm saying is congratulations and kudos, to the nameless, to the people who you might all they are to you as somebody in a polo jersey and gloves as the passing out a garbage bag to pick up the trash from around you, or the security who's making sure that no weapons being brought into your entertainment space. I just want to thank you all for being a part of this economy and a part of this enterprise. And while I may not necessarily partake in much of it anymore, I want to recognize what it takes to get it done. And I salute you all. And in terms of top quality service, well, normally we quarrel about how technicians will have you waiting hours to come and do your little repairs at home, or they're gonna come to change the line or to check the box or whatever it is, and they tell you to come in midday and 4 o'clock in the evening, they're now looking to show up. I didn't have that experience last week, right? 2 digital technicians came. At 1:30 they were supposed to arrive. I, in my infinite wisdom, decided at 1:30 I had a 2 hours, so I decided to start cutting my hair. And literally, as I run the first machine stroke pass, phone is ringing, van is outside. Right, I want to big up, I believe it's Mr. Bedlow and Thomas. I'll double check the Thomas. But I had to go outside and meet the technicians with my semi-trimmed hair because these fellas arrived.
That wasn't semi-trimmed.
Yeah, now that wasn't even semi. That was 1/16th. How you describe
exactly
1/16th? Right?
You know what? Incomplete.
It was incomplete, right? It was barely begun, and they were outside on time. Very professional service. They were very helpful. I had the issues resolved, and I just want to acknowledge, because I'm quick to cry when we get bad customer service or bad representation and CSRs and that type of thing. These fellas did an excellent job, and they restored my faith in scheduling, and they represented the organization well. Kudos to them. Kudos to them, man. I'll make sure I get the names right, but
I want to know if you have a picture of the 1/16th haircut, though.
I actually did, because people would
post right here.
Boy, wait, you know what? I deserve that. And that's to tell you how much. That to tell you that's a true story. This is not hyperbole in any form or fashion.
As we are looking to get ready to bring in the guest, I must wipe my feet. And I'm not wiping my feet on the toxic relationships I have with cricket and football. I'm wiping my feet on the toxic relationships I have with corporate Trinidad and Tobago, where we are in positions where we should do better for our culture. We should do better for our country, but yet still we hide behind the mask of not enough profit being made. What is enough profit? I'm seeing some companies presenting $1.1 billion in profit for a financial year, but yet still their workers can't get a raise. Yet still they're not investing in the country that they have their operations. what the Miley Cyrus is going on. I need to find a local term for that.
Michael Sedeno?
Marshall Sedeno.
It's Marshall.
Marshall, yeah.
Yeah. Timo, you see this game.
What the Marshall Sedeno or this be doing with all the money?
Let me find another name, yes. Next thing the man decide he want to put us in long sleeve and ties for using his name in a defamatory manner.
Right? That is one.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing I have to say is why in God's year of 2023 are we not practicing proper hybrid working environments where I have to spend 3 hours to get from San Fernando to Port of Spain at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
The T in Shogunas is for traffic? I don't know.
The T in Shogunas is for traffic, yes? To Shogunas. To Shogunas.
It must have a T there because there's always traffic by Shogunas. No matter the day of the week, you know, like T'Challa.
Yeah.
Shogunas.
Mm-hmm. Wow. This is what we do need to people airtime. But yeah.
But we should really bring in our guests now before I go on and on. Well, because to Freeport as well always had traffic too.
Wow. Anyway, I would like to take the opportunity to recognize and celebrate International Women's Week, right? With a guest I wanted to bring on the program a while now, and I guess timing is good on because now we have something extra special to celebrate in the contributions that she's been making as a Caribbean woman. Right? Before I would have just interviewed her as somebody who I saw as a successful businesswoman or with at least enterprising, and now I could claim her as a proper Caribbean queen, a Carnival Queen, because she modeled a costume. I think it's Keon Winter Enchantress, right? And Nisa Nathu Hari, I know her from school, and now as a representative of not just South and the Caribbean, she's representing Enterprise and Carnival. What more you want in terms of a woman who can speak for International Women's Week? Let's head across to Nisa.
And after that lovely introduce from Vorish, which a lot of y'all would not have heard for the past month or more, we are back inside the living room.
So Nisa, let's before Aaron and I get into our thing, we have not actually spoken in years. Years, right? So I just want to point out to the people that social media keeps you in touch, but not necessarily in contact. Right. If you get what I'm saying, because I've seen some of the stuff you've been doing over the years and thoroughly impressed. And I reached out probably 2 years ago to get you in the living room, and then the world did the world, and now we're here.
Yeah, and now we're here again, and I'm on the living room.
Yeah, so I'd like to welcome you, and
thank you so much.
Well, that is Aaron in the corner there. Apparently, you all have something in common professionally.
We have the best profession. We're both accountants.
Nice. So the abstract and creative in me here is going to take a backseat to you guys' structured conversation.
No.
I mean, I don't want to make it seem as if as accountants we can't be creative as well. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that later.
We're going to get into a lot of that. I am glad to have you here. And first and foremost, we have to ask the most important question. And as Aaron, do this part, because you have a number of lovely rhythmic and rhyming schemes.
All right, so we don't ask you what's the scene jelly bean, or what's the gist physicist, or what's the word hummingbird. We ask you, how are you?
So, well, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much for having me again on the living room. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm grateful to be chatting with you fine gentlemen today. And I just had a cup of heavenly coffee. So in this moment, life is good and I'm great.
That is refreshing. That is absolutely refreshing. I am going to have coffee as soon as we get off here. Aaron, you had your coffee, your celery juice, whatever it is you're into these days?
Water. I actually haven't had enough water for the day as yet. I think I need to go drink some as soon as this interview is over.
All right, nice one. So, great, fantastic day outside. Again, yes, we do have a bit of a loose script, but I'm going to ask you, have you had many fantastic days over the last month or so?
I think it's been a bit mixed. I've had fantastic days. I've had nerve-wracking days. I've even had a couple of down ones. And, I know one of the things that you would have seen on my social media, even though, as you said, we have not been in contact, but we're somehow connected, is that I did enter the Senior Kings and Queens Carnival competition over the Carnival period. And that in itself, that experience had so much mixed emotions, going in, doing, coming out of it. So a lot of fantastic days, a lot of down days, a lot of nerve-wracking days. Yeah, a nice mixed bag.
Well, that is one of the reasons that we have you on this week in particular, because we are celebrating and recognizing International Women's Week. So I'm sitting here with someone who has a professional career in the corporate world and is dancing Carnival Queens. Hey, how did that happen? How did you get into that?
So, my dad has been he has been bringing this carnival band for the past 30 years. And coincidentally, this year, 2023, we celebrated our 30 years in the business. And I have always harbored a secret desire to portray a queen, but I've never really openly shared it, except with my dad on a couple of occasions, and he hasn't necessarily been inclined to me doing it. And for whatever the reason, I've actually never asked. And during a meeting last year, when we were doing our carnival prep, and so a member of the team, Mr. Bobby Banwari, who is actually the craftsman for the Peony Winters Enchantress Queen costume, he suggested that I do it. And I believe his exact words were, "But we have our queen right here." So from there, my dad actually agreed. I was a little bit surprised, but he did. And with the support of my dad and Rambunctious Carnival, which comprises of Bobby, who I mentioned earlier, Barry, Satish, and Naomi, they are Rambunctious Carnival, who were the designers of the Queen costume. Essentially, from there, we made it happen. That is how it was born.
It was an amazing presentation. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I'll admit, I know you like your culture, I know you like to travel, I know you enjoy living, right? But I did not expect to see you modeling a Carnival Queen. It was this reminder that people are way more layered than we give them credit for.
Way more. And the thing is, I've been involved in Carnival for a very, very long time, but I've always been in the background. I've been helping my dad designing costumes, actually with the production of the costumes, and I have been doing the Carnival theme for them for a number of years now. So it's a lot of background work I've been doing, and this was like my first experience in the forefront.
Aaron, you've been recently involved, or more heavily involved in Carnival over the past couple of years, right? You looking to model a king costume anytime soon?
No,
take your time and think about it.
I was just going to say, because, our Carnival Band Fireworks promotion, we would welcome you with open arms if you'd like to portray a king costume for us.
There you have it, Aaron. Carnival King.
Still a hard no?
I don't. But all the other commitments I have during the carnival season, I don't think I have the time to devote to such as what you put it across, a hectic and heavy burden, a heavy crown, to say it better.
Yeah.
As I say,
Right.
heavy. Was it heavy?
Oh,
Like, literally.
extremely heavy. It was extremely heavy, you know, and I'll give you a joke, which it became a joke, but in the moment, it really wasn't that funny. For the preliminaries, which was basically the first appearance, I was really, really, really nervous about being able to carry the costume in terms of the weight, not in terms of actually portraying the costume and dancing it, but more so, can I handle the weight? Because actually the first time that I moved the costume was the night before. And because, you know, I mean, the whole design, the preparation, the craftsmanship, it takes a while. And, you know, we were a bit behind in terms of getting things together, and I only got to try the costume the night before. And when I tried it, the look on my face was like, oh my God, this is really heavy. And I mean, I was panicked from that point. And then I moved it a little bit the night before, and it seemed okay, you know, it was doable or whatever. But on the night of the preliminaries, I was really, really nervous. And the designer, actually, Bobby, he came to speak to me and he touched my shoulder, and he was actually feeling my shoulder shaking. And he's like, Nisa, don't worry, calm down. You know, you could do this, because I didn't want to disappoint the team. I really wanted to go there and last the 3 minutes on stage and not, you know, appear tired and, you know, as if I was training with this costume or anything like that. And making it through the time, the entire 3 to 3.5 minutes or so, and coming off of the stage, it was, you know, it was an exhilarating experience. You know, I was relieved that I made it. I think everybody was happy that everything went well in my first performance. And, you know, it was really, at that point, I was extremely nervous. For the semifinals and the finals, I was a bit calmer. But yeah, for that first movement of the costume, I was extremely nervous.
I have one statement to make and one question to ask. For the finals, I could tell you weren't nervous.
Yeah, I wasn't.
From the vantage point that we had for finals, oh God, I work for finals. I was there for the master. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We did the coverage with WAC.
Okay.
So we were front and center. So we could tell you weren't nervous. And
yeah,
I must commend you all for that, because when I saw the costumes being, wheeled from behind the grandstand, sorry, the north stand, I was like, but these are some huge costumes. Right? And the question is now, how do you all transport such a sizable costume and keep it intact?
My dad actually, my dad has his own business, and he has a truck that he does deliveries and so with. So we actually use the truck for transportation, but the costume is obviously broken down. And when we get to the NCC compound, it's built up. So when we leave, we have to break it down again.
Oh.
So this thing happens, you know, twice on every competition day, breaking down and building up.
Because that was no one asked. So I know finals is Carnival Sunday. The semis is, I think, the Wednesday before that.
Yes, it was Wednesday, and the prelims, I think, was the Thursday before.
So it's in a 1 week span. The breaking down and stuff like that happens multiple times without distraction or destruction to the overall outlay of the costume.
Yes. So there can't be any destruction to it, because I mean, you want to present your best front at every competition, and more so at the finals, right?
Yeah. So as Ricardo and I spoke to before, we must congratulate the unsung heroes of this costume, the production team, your dad and Bobby and everybody.
Yeah, Bobby, Barry, Satish, Naomi, you know, they actually had a lot of other people helping them as well. I mean, they were the front men, but in essence, you know, it was a team of people to get this thing done.
So, you know, we shout out our unsung heroes, because we know they're probably gonna hit one of Ricardo's top 3 now.
Oh yeah, you know, I parents, well, good parents, good teachers, and then I have a floating third place for who my heroes are. So
Nice.
I'm definitely looking at this production and logistics team, because people don't realize that each time we do this, it's a mini project. So great job on stage, great job off stage.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And but what did that experience do for you as a person? I mean, you said that it was something that you always wanted to do, but literally there was a season of empowerment. Like, you did not know if you were strong enough to carry it, and then you found out that you were. Very rarely empowering scenarios require physical power. So what did this do for you personally? How did you come out different to how you went in?
I think it allowed me to push past my comfort zone. And, as I mentioned earlier, prior to portraying this queen, I had never really taken a leading role in any of my dad's carnival presentations. And, the excitement of performing, the thrill of being a part of, a significant cultural event, the joy of seeing people react so positively to my performance. I mean, those are memories that will be with me to treasure. The overall, the experience of portraying this Carnival Queen was transformational. It left an indelible mark that, for me, it tells me I could basically do anything. I could do this again. You know what I mean? So it inspires you to do more and want to do more.
International Women's Week. This is the message that we want to get across, right? You could do new things. You could explore who you are. You could challenge yourself. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you got out of your comfort zone, because even if it was something that you wanted to do, there would have still been some element of discomfort to navigate.
Yes. And for me, one of the greatest things of that entire experience, I mean, there are a number of things that, were exceptional, the entire, as I mentioned, the entire experience. But one of the things that was really, really great to see was how young women and young girls at the competition, like spectators, how they embraced me, how they embraced the costume, how they embraced the team. Complete strangers, young girls, young women, they're coming up to me and, they want to take a picture. They're telling me my costume is so beautiful. You look so nice. One parent actually came with her young daughter. She may have been like about, let's say, maybe 4 or 5. And she asked me, the parent asked me, may I take a picture with you and my daughter, because she thinks you're Elsa. Because I had the whole blonde hair and, it was the name of the costume was Keone Winter's Enchantress. So it was that whole Snow Queen type feel. And, it was just so nice to bring that level of joy to these young girls. I remember also there were a group of girls, a little bit older, maybe about 12. I'm just kind of ballparking, and both of them, they may have been sisters. They were with their mom, and I'm assuming, that they were with their mom. And they came and they spoke to me, took pictures. And when I think this may have been for the semifinals, when I was now entering, going to enter the stage, they're there and they're like cheering me on and screaming. And then somebody from my team told me that while I was performing for the semifinals, they're like on the outskirts behind the barriers, like screaming for me. And, even hearing that was like, wow, it's so heartwarming to see that these girls were there cheering me on. They don't know me. They just like what we're doing, what we put on the stage. And I just hope that what we did, the work we did, inspires these girls to pursue great things in their own lives, want to emulate and even do these things themselves.
That encourages me. It excites me because, again, apologies, but I saw you as corporate and enterprising and that type of thing, right? So how do you... I'm trying to put this together because in my mind I'm still thinking you're an accountant who started a business, right, in the corporate sector, and then you're encouraging culture and encouraging these young girls to express and explore their imaginations and, to embrace this beautiful season that we've been gifted. And how do you marry the two? I mean, 1 minute you're on stage and then the next minute you're showing up for a meeting with your tablet and your PowerPoint.
Interestingly, nobody from my current team was aware that I did the competition, and I wanted it like that because I don't necessarily like to put too much of the things that I'm involved in personally out in the workplace. So nobody, and I unless they would have seen something in the newspaper or looked at the Dimashra show, as far as I'm aware, they still don't know because nobody really mentioned anything to me. Some of my past, co-workers and stuff and, other places that I've worked, they're aware because, I have them on social media, they've been following it and that kind of thing. I don't have anyone from my current place of employment on social media. So, they weren't really in the loop. And so for me, it was just, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but yes, I'm this accountant and, a lot of people see me as this perfectionist and, always want to do things by the book and that kind of thing. And that's, that structured environment is, that of an accountant, but I am actually very, very creative. And it's a part of myself that I unfortunately only tapped into much later, and I wish I would have tapped into it a bit earlier. As I mentioned to you a short while ago, I normally do the carnival themes for my dad's band, and I've been doing it for a number of years, and I'm doing it again for next year. So, to be able to do that, you have to have that kind of creative juice flowing through.
Yeah. Remind me, I have a very controversial question to ask at the end of the interview.
All right, no problem. But as we have a nice segue going here, so I'm going to ask. You just said it yourself. You wish you'd started earlier. What message would you give to Nisa 20 years ago? What message would you give to
teenage Nisa? Just end at that. Just end that teenage Nisa. Don't call her number.
Suppose you wanted to tell 5-year-old Nisa how she was feeling. You don't know how, when I say 20, you don't know what that means, Aaron. You're fresh. But yeah, Nisa, so what would you tell past Nisa?
I would say, while it is extremely important to prioritize, your academic and career goals, don't forget to nurture your creative side as well. Don't be afraid to explore different forms of creativity. Don't give up on your creative passions before you even have an opportunity to delve into it, because those are the activities, those are the skills that I believe have the power to bring joy and fulfillment to your life. And for me, it could have started a whole lot earlier.
Is that any way related to where Skill Pick came from?
In terms of creativity?
Yeah.
So I would say, I even though I'm saying that, the focus shouldn't only be on professional and career goals, I also believe that you shouldn't really limit yourself. You can choose multiple paths. And, as I said, I wear an accountant's hat for my day job. And in addition, I co-founded a business, SkillPick, as you mentioned, with my business partner, Isha Martin. And being a part of these corporate worlds, it can provide an opportunity for you to network with people, colleagues, clients, professionals in the industry, which can lead to much more business opportunities, career advancement. So I would say, being open to exploring different avenues, cultivating your creative skills, but also knowing that you can be more, you can do more. And, even why not even consider exploring opportunities where culture and corporate interests might intersect and you have the best of both worlds. I don't think I'm necessarily at that point where I am involved in, that intersection, but, you never know. Sky's the limit. One day that can happen.
That is, I'm going to take clips of this and send them to my nieces and goddaughters and show them that, listen, you can be more than one thing. And it doesn't have to be the thing that anybody told you that you're going to be. You this is a beautiful time where a woman could choose who and what she wants to be.
And I think what you said earlier in not being aware, not expecting me to come out with, a Carnival Queen portrayal. I think there are a lot of people who know me who would have had that same outlook, that same thought process. I strongly believe that.
In terms of the balancing of both the corporate and the culture aspects of your life, I know that Carnival is a 5 weeks on salt mentality, where after the Ash Wednesday, it just goes back into dormancy, right? But we know that producing a Carnival band and a Carnival costume of that size is not a 5 weeks on salt mentality. That is actually probably a year-round activity, because I'm sure that your band would have at least initiated 2024 planning, right? How do you find balance between the corporate and the creative side?
So I have to answer that in two ways. So for instance, for this Carnival, we started a bit late in terms of our preparation, not only for the Queen competition, but for the parade on Monday and Tuesday. And in our meetings that we've had recently, we basically said, we started really late, but we accomplished a lot for Carnival 2023, even with that. We did have like a post-mortem meeting, and coming out of that, a post-mortem meeting for Carnival 2023, and coming out of that, one of the things that we want to do is start a whole lot earlier for Carnival 2024, because there's so many things, especially with my involvement now in taking a more active role, there's so many things that we want to do differently to kind of tap into, a new group of people, maybe even a younger group of people. So I know a lot of people, they truly appreciate their Port Spade Mass, but we are trying to kind of keep the South Carnival alive. And to do that, we have to find ways to do things differently. And to do things differently, one of the things that we are changing, one of the many things, is that we want to start a whole lot earlier for the planning process, so we can do things, connect with the right people, do the networking that we need to do to be able to benefit in certain ways. And coming out of that, we're starting actually this month, to plan for Carnival 2024. And so for me, it's a whole lot easier to balance the corporate world and the creative world if we actually do that and we have that proper planning process. We start from now, because it was madness for me leading up to Carnival 2023, lacking sleep. I had to take a couple of days off for the Carnival competition itself, because we had to appear at 4 p.m. and show was starting at 7:30, and there was a lot of prep before that 4 p.m. appearance. So for me, it was a struggle. It is a struggle, like, when things are not planned properly. I should say it's more so a struggle when things are not planned properly. But we are certainly putting things in place to not have that burden on any one person during that planning time.
So we have two segments in the program generally, where we hang your hat, where we celebrate certain things, and then where you wipe your feet, which is where the things that we less impressed by. I don't want to put you in a weird spot, but I am going to ask you, considering the sacrifice, the effort, the amount of work that goes into this, how did you feel, or how did your organization feel when there was no San Fernando judging? No San Fernando.
Hello. And I asked any hard questions here?
Well, I asked if you wanted to do the controversial on your backpedal.
I told you I was asking that first.
All right, fine, fair enough. Well, we're here already.
Let me ask how I wanted to ask it now.
You know what? Let's do it that way. This is what teamwork is about. Yeah.
So there has been a lot of clamoring on social media that San Fernando Carnival is dying, right? And from what you just explained, your organization is doing their part to ensure the continuity of San Fernando Carnival. Now, I ask the question, how do you feel about the fact that San Fernando is not doing enough to promote San Fernando Carnival?
So I'm going to add a bit more controversy with my answer. So there is a YouTube clip that I saw of South Carnival, and the Honorable Junior Regrello, the Mayor of San Fernando, and Chairman of the NCC, Gypsy Peters, they were speaking on the clip. And they actually collectively agreed that South Carnival was not dying in this clip. This was like on Carnival Tuesday itself. And I looked at this clip in complete awe. Because, it's either way it's concerning. One, if you truly believe that that's the outlook, that's concerning. And if you're standing up on a public forum and pretending to have a different outlook, that's concerning. So for me, as a band, what we need to do, and even the other South bands, all of us, if we can even come together, if that's possible, we need to do what we need to do, whatever we can do to contribute to keeping the South Carnival alive, because we don't want to see it die. And so we are trying to do our part in the process, but it is very disheartening and disenchanting to know that quite possibly in Carnival 2024, the same thing may occur from the administrative side of it, the planning and that kind of thing. It's very, very disheartening because, we came down Sapero Street to then take the right to go to Sapa for our judging point. And just the organization of that street and that kind of thing. Why aren't there barriers, just kind of clearing the route, clearing the route, the path that the band needs to, move along to get to the judging point. And then there was a concern on Carnival Tuesday, I believe, that, the bands were moving too slow. Oh, surprise, surprise. The bands are moving slow because the path is not clear. And on that same clip that I mentioned earlier, Mr. Junior Regrello mentioned that he was talking to Mr. Peters about having bleachers for the spectators and that kind of thing. I mean, Junior Regrello has been in office for quite some time. And for me, it was, okay, Aaron is putting it up there 4 years plus. And to have the epiphany in Carnival 2023 that we need bleachers, for me, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking. But what I can say on a positive note is that I really do hope that come Carnival 2024, what he stated on Carnival Tuesday 2023 comes to fruition.
Yeah. Well, you are in the right place. I can guarantee you that you are speaking with people who have vested interests in San Fernando's Carnival surviving and thriving. I know Aaron, you're not seeing one of his hands, and that's because he's making notes. Pretty certain he has a binder full of notes coming out of this conversation because he too is involved in the South Mass and culture is his code. So these conversations are meaningful to us. And I know that he's not just going to say, well, right, we had the conversation and move on. He's going to make sure that the points are adequately raised in the appropriate places. Right, Aaron?
And at the inappropriate times as well.
Oh, if need be. If need be.
Things would be complete without that.
Right. That was my bad question, honestly. And I think every culture-related conversation that we have, I am going to try to ask that question. And I'm also going to try to work very assiduously to ensure that we get both Mr. Regrello and the convener of Carnival, Mr. Nigam Joseph, on for subsequent conversations about San Fernando Carnival. Right?
Excellent.
Nisa, we are running out of time now. We are getting perilously close to 7 p.m. And I just want to ask you, before we go, any shameless plugs, any shout outs, anything you want to do like that before we close off?
Well, I mean, I must do a little advertisement for my dad's band. You know what I mean? So let me see what I could do here. Put on my entertainer's cap, Are you ready for the ultimate carnival experience? Look no further for South Trinidad's premier band, Fireworks Promotions. If you're from South and you've never played with us before, we welcome you with open arms. If you're from South and you probably usually play in town, I would like to ask you, give us 1 year. Witness the true experience of South Carnival, and if for nothing else, do it for the culture, basically. So we are on Instagram at Fireworks Promotion. We're on Facebook at Fireworks Promotion, the Carnival Band. So follow us today and let Fireworks Promotion light up your 2024 Carnival experience.
Excellent.
Can't get any better than that, boy.
You can't. You can't. That is great. So Nisa, because of the multiple hats that you wear, I would like to extend an invitation to you and your co-founder of SkillPick to join us when we do our Woman Entrepreneur series. Right? We dedicate a couple of weeks to businesswomen in innovative spaces or with innovative ways to address existing spaces. But you've given us a lot today already. You've given us a lot to see the joy you lit up when you were discussing certain things, and then other things you were very deliberate about how important it was. I don't want to say stern, but you were very deliberate about how important it is. And again, International Women's Week, it's about the exploration, it is about the expression, it is about you as a woman, not just in the roles that you fulfill, but you as an individual as well. So it's been my honor, our honor, to be able to share some of this with you, to see the journey that you've had over the past couple months, doing something that you always wanted to do, and now looking back on it with such joy.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this opportunity to chat about the experience, and thank you very much for extending the invitation to my co-founder and I. She would be overjoyed to hear it, and we look forward to having that conversation with you at a later date.
For Carnival 2024, I assure that I will do my part to not just promote South Carnival from the seat that I currently sit in, but in a holistic way. So I would make sure and get you guys on a short mini series I'll be doing, and I'll make sure and interview you for that as well.
Fantastic.
Hopefully before the production of the costume is complete, because I want to show persons how much work goes into Kings and Queens of Carnival.
Yeah, sure. And it would be nice to even maybe bring on some of these section leaders, because we design a couple costumes, and then we also subcontract some of these sections to specific section leaders. So it'll be nice to hear from them as well, if time permits.
Of course, we'll make it happen. We have 10 months. We'll make it happen.
It happen.
As we close off, because I just remind you all, Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. And I always say that culture is my code. And remember, guys, that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys. Ricardo?
Well, this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the local stage. I should say vocal, again, a little international. But either way, remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Nisa, thank you for joining us. I don't know if you have a closing tagline yet.
No, nothing at this moment. Thank you very much for having me, and I truly had a lot of fun with this conversation.
Excellent stuff. But I would ask, is there anything you would like to say to the women out there? Tomorrow is International Women's Day, so any message from Nisa?
Yeah, I would say, at the end of the day, we are in a world, we are in a country where sometimes gender bias may present itself. And I think the key is to keep fighting the good fight, keep doing what you're doing and do it well. And go to organizations in, wherever you're working, whatever you're involved in, and do what you do best. And, forced to be, get yourself recognized, do things and get yourself recognized, and create your own path. Don't always wait for some other leader or some organization to create that path for you, do it for yourself. Because at the end of the day, all the people we have behind us, the rich history that we have of people who have stood up for things, they have done it for themselves and for people that they know. They haven't necessarily always looked for people who are in leadership to do it for them. So fight the good fight and continue what you're doing, and respect yourself, respect others, and do everything you would like to do, and create your own space.
I love that.
Love it.
Selfless self-advocacy. I'll take that. Yeah. Mr. Desmond up next with the big band.
Yeah, he ready to pull us down and start. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys. Keep it locked.
Deuces.